Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining. My name's Kyle. I'm the founder over here at RefReps. We're excited to have you, excited to have our first webinar with the state of Minnesota. We got some exciting things coming. We have a lot going on, kind of this whole Midwest and Plains corridor and everything. There's a lot of exciting things, and we're really excited to get with you, some of the schools in Minnesota, to see what we can do up there. A couple housekeeping things. I've got two teammates on with me that I want to introduce you to. We've got Brad Sexton and Caleb Lovelace. They're both individuals you're going to get familiar with if this is something you're interested in and decide maybe you want to move forward with us and kind of join this. Caleb will be your first point of contact. He works with all our schools across all of the Midwest, a tremendous resource. Very knowledgeable. As we go through today, I'm going to share some resources and things with you. You don't have to worry too much about making notes. Caleb's going to send out an email afterwards. He'll just load you up with materials, everything you're going to need as you try to figure out, hey, can we do this? Do we want to do this? He's going to be a resource for that. And then once you get going and you decide, hey, I think this makes sense for our school district and we want to get it implemented, as you get things moving forward, Brad will become a very familiar face and name for you. He's going to be there really to focus on success. So how have things gone for the first half of the semester? What are you doing well? What are you struggling with? How can I help support you through that with some tips and tricks that he's learned from all across the country and working with schools literally in the 34 states we're in. He's also going to be there and available if you need to do any kind of professional development or you want to, training, getting you ramped up and things like that. He'll support you through that whole effort as well. So thank you guys for joining. You're going to hear from me a lot, so I'm going to do an introduction of myself. Jason, if there's anything you want to say from the state office side, kind of set the table why we're here and what you're looking forward to, I'll turn it over to you. And then, guys, we'll have about a 25-minute, 30-minute presentation we'll roll through, then hopefully open it up for Q&A at the end. So Jason, over to you.
All right, perfect, Kyle. Appreciate RefReps and their work in pulling this together. We have been in discussion with Kyle and their folks for quite a while about how do we provide up-to-date curriculum and materials for development of our officiating program, especially at the high school and community education levels. And we were finally able to pull the trigger on getting this agreement together so that we could get curriculum and other training and development pieces into our schools and into our communities over the last month or so. And so excited to get this out there and get started in a couple of schools and see how it goes. It's really, RefReps has really come a long way as far as just the quality and the offerings that are available for schools to use and our associations and community ed partners to use. And Kyle and his team are going to be really good resources for our schools as they try to get going with this. And we know that it was kind of late in the game with school starting here shortly in the next week or two, that many districts said if they are going to do an officiating course, they've already moved forward with their plans, but we're hopeful that this will help supplement those schools that have started something, and then we'll also assist other schools and community ed programs as we move forward into next school year. So again, use Kyle and their team, tremendous resource in trying to get officiating curriculum and education into our schools and our communities. So thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. And I'll turn it back to you, and looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate that and appreciate all your efforts to get this going. Truly, from our side at RefReps, our mission is led by a passionate desire to properly develop the next generation of great sports officials. We obviously on this call today, we have active officials. I know Jason is one. The rest of you, I don't know where you're at on the officiating spectrum. Maybe we got some other active, retired, inactive. Maybe some of you are just considering it. Maybe I want to get into officiating. Regardless of where you're at, you're here because you understand the call to action that is needed in the officiating industry. We're working, like I said, in 34 different states. We have about 300 high schools and colleges that are teaching this course in those states. And it's because right now, everybody's in the same boat. There is a shortage. Unfortunately, unfortunately for the ecosystem as a whole, it is not isolated to Minnesota. We're in Indiana. We're based out of Indiana. It's here. It's across the Midwest. We're finding that it's across the world. We're working with some organizations in Europe and in the South Pacific, and they're having the same problems. The exciting thing for us is we're starting to see some of these articles start to shift. In Indiana, we had growth. We partnered with them last year, and we had growth in the officiating ranks for the first time in 6 years. Some other states are starting to see that. And I have no doubt over the next year or two, we're going to start to see those same things all over the place. A little bit of how we got here and why, just to set the table. In 2018, the National Association of Sports Officials conducted a survey. And in that survey, they found that 8 in 10 sports officials typically quit, new sports officials typically quit in their first 3 years. And there are a lot of reasons why, but we really think they boil down to the same core problems. Now, one huge benefit you've got in Minnesota, I've known Jason a long time, you're doing some incredible things up there. We think in a lot of cases that 8 in 10 quitting is a lack of support, a lack of standardization in training and expectations. I don't know if I really think that carries over to Minnesota because I know what you're doing up there. But what we're excited about is there is a lack of standardization in training and expectations state to state for sure. And we're starting to see that come together a little bit, which is pretty exciting for the industry as a whole. It also was revealed in that same study that the average age of a licensed high school sports official is 57 years old. Now, I got really fortunate. I was able to speak at the NCAA National Convention back in January. And when I threw out that stat, one of the other people on the panel with me said, "Hey, Kyle, do you realize that in the 1970s, the average age of a licensed high school sports official was 24? I had no idea. I had never heard that before. But over the last 5 decades, the average age of a high school sports official has increased by 3 decades. So there's kind of been this perfect storm. There's this perfect storm of the average age going up, that next generation not really getting involved. And then when the pandemic hit, through the pandemic, that's that graphic here on the right, 50,000 high school sports officials just ceased service. They did not come back. They stopped officiating through the pandemic. And that's about 20% of all licensed high school sports officials nationally. So that was a big hit. We've been tracking these trends at RefReps. As Jason said, we kind of started in some different areas and then really kind of innovated and iterated over time. We've been watching these things and working on solutions. And we knew there was a really exciting opportunity to infuse youth into the officiating industry through your high school and then also through collegiate classrooms. But we knew if we were going to meet that next generation of great sports officials and get the future of officiating started, we had to meet them where they are. And that's in your classrooms, whether we like it or not. We've learned it's on devices. This next generation, that's where they consume content. They do it in short bursts. They do it with micro-learning interactions. So we really set out to develop an innovative education-based training for sports officiating that would connect what's done in the high school classroom, typically through physical education, with the lives of students outside of the classroom. And if we've got any PE teachers on, you know that that is a core Shape America physical education standard that we align with nationally. So what is it all? We call it the RefReps officiating education system. It's comprised of turnkey officiating education courses, what we call interactive video training packs, and a full curriculum for your instructors to implement this course. It's all available digitally. Everything we provide comes digitally so that we can keep it up to date. We're constantly updating that with rules, changes, and things that come from the NFHS. But truly, it's designed in a way that allows this coursework to be delivered flexibly to meet the needs of your learners. It's designed so it can be taught in the high school classroom. That's the best bet, kind of a hybrid model. I'll walk you through what that looks like, but it can also be taught online. It can be done asynchronously. It can be taught with a group. So as Jason mentioned, maybe you've been wanting to do this, you didn't get it on your books, you're not sure you can offer it as a course, but you know you got 10 students in your building that really want to become officials. Well, you can do that with this structure. You can do it with a sports team, or you can do it individually. You've got that one office aide or athletic aide that really wants to do this, but didn't have the room in the schedule to take this course. But she would be a great ice hockey official, and she could take this course online that way. The one thing I will say, and I know this is a bold statement, it does not matter your school's schedule structure or teacher availability. If this is something you see today, and in theory, you don't have this on your books, school starts on Monday, but you want to get it going with a little bit of creativity and a 15-minute conversation with Caleb, you could implement this Monday. I guarantee it. We do it all the time. It's very, very easy. That's obviously not something that just happens, but there's been a lot of thought and intentionality put into this to make sure that that can be done and reduce barriers. So right now we offer coursework and curriculum for 14 different sports. It's all those that you see right here on the left. Gymnastics is next in the hopper, but we've got all the materials that you're going to need to implement this course for those 14 sports. The content modules that we've developed, the moderated discussion from the instructors that we prompt, the assessments that are built into the platform, the active learning opportunities that we've designed will realistically allow high school students to successfully complete 2 to 3 sport courses over the duration of a semester, again, regardless of your schedule structure. So if you're thinking about this as a standalone sports officiating course, now I know, like we said, maybe we're a little late to the game to do that if that's not on your books. But if you're thinking about that, that's where we think you get the best bang for your buck and the best experience for your students. But if you're doing that, a full semester officiating course, you want to think about 2 to 3 sport courses over the duration of a semester. And the combinations of those sports could be offered in a variety of ways. I don't know if you'd want to do this, but truly, same situation as before. You're starting this Monday. You just find out about it today. You show up in the classroom on Monday, and you want to base those sport offerings on student interest. Literally, show of hands. Who wants to do basketball? If the most hands go up, you can start basketball that day. That's how flexible this is now. I want to do a little more planning than that, but we do a lot of that for you. So that certainly helps. But I think what I recommend is you take that student interest and then think about your local need, kind of combine those two. So I looked through the forms of everybody who registered for today's webinar, and there's about a quarter of you who said you had canceled sporting events in the past because you didn't have officials. So think about that. What sporting events, primarily at the lower levels, are we canceling? Are we struggling to cover middle school soccer matches? Well, maybe you want to offer soccer so that you can kind of build in a pipeline to solve that problem. Think about your local youth leagues, especially. Is your local youth baseball league or basketball league really struggling for officials? Well, maybe you want to offer those sports to fill that community need, but also keep in mind that students going through this course are going to learn skills that'll make them immediately employable. So not only are they going to fill that need, they go right out and start making money, which is a great opportunity for them. And then the last thing we always recommend that you consider is just time of year. So as students go through this course, maybe you want to line up these units of the course so that sport unit is ending just as that sports season is beginning. And again, for the same purpose, that's going to allow them to get that practical experience, apply their skills, go out and start getting jobs and making money right away. The key component, though, regardless of how you structure your course offering and what sports you offer, the key component is that the entire curriculum across all sports has been created to provide standardized instruction. We're really excited because students in Minnesota, from Grand Portage to Pipestone, Warren to Winona, everywhere in between, they're all going to be able to learn officiating the exact same way. And the other thing that's great about that is we're partnered with just about everybody in this Midwest Plains geography here. So not only are your students in Minnesota learning officiating this way, they're doing the same in Missouri and Michigan and here in Indiana, Ohio, Kansas, all across. They're all learning it the exact same way, which is so exciting and just so needed for the traditional officiating ecosystem. Again, we provide all the baseline content and materials for your instructors. Your instructors are empowered to manage their classroom through our platform. So you're going to get an LMS, learning management system, with it. You can assign coursework to the students. Your assessments, like I said, are all built in, and the grading is automated. So there's no additional grading for you. You just take your reports out of our platform and you put that over in Skyward or Canvas or PowerSchool, whatever you're using for grading. When I say we provide all the materials, all the core coursework, there is an element of this where students will complete coursework online. It's really designed out to be a hybrid model, but we provide you your instructor guides that are going to walk you through, what do I teach week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the course. We're going to have the course outlines that actually explain to you in a synopsis, what is module 1 of this sport about? What are my learning targets for this sport? What are some in-class activities that I can do? We have example assignments. We have supplemental videos. We have all sorts of materials. So when I say we give you everything, we give you, if you like this, but you need to take it to your Board of Education or you need to take it to your superintendent or principal, we've got tools for that. You can just hand it to them. And it's everything they would need for you to get this pushed through. So truly, it is out of the box and well prepared for you. This is a look kind of at the student side of the platform. This is what they'll see as they do work through those online modules. This is an example of an assessment. Again, everything's pre-built. And they'll work their way through these modules and then through these quizzes. And again, it's all graded. Nothing else getting lumped on your instructors from there. And then at the end of a course, when a student completes any one of our sport courses, they're going to get a certificate of completion with us. And that is a really exciting thing. Almost all the states we're working with are recognizing and accepting that towards their state's officiating licensing requirements in some form or capacity. So that's something that's going to travel with them. And so, for example, they finish a course in Minnesota as a senior, they move to Kansas or Indiana or Michigan for college. Well, they take that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate. They'll get a free license, a free officiating license through their state office for that first year. So that's something that's really neat, that's going to stick with these young people as they continue forward on their path through officiating. So the last thing I want to do really quickly, then I'm going to get into implementation. How do we actually get this going in our school district? There's one more thing to cover. We understand from our side that there is certainly a gap between online coursework and then the practical application of that. And Jason knows this better than anybody. Doing online coursework and being able to go out and work a football game, it doesn't work like that. There's more that comes in between there, certainly, and more that needs to be learned. But we really wanted to close as many gaps as we possibly could from our side. So I'll walk you through that implementation, some of the ways you'll help with that in the classroom. But through technology, we also wanted to fill a gap. So this is a still shot of one of our point of view training packs. And what these will allow your students to do is practically apply what they learn in the coursework before they ever go out and step on the field, court, or mat. Too many times, new officials get involved. They don't get adequate training. They kind of get thrown to the wolves, and they go out, they get yelled at for 2 hours, and it's miserable, and they don't want to continue doing it. And so what we wanted to do was provide a platform where on their device, they can submit that certificate of completion. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with that new state in one of those states, for example, they can submit that certificate with them. And when they register with in this situation right here, the learner will see a point guard drive down the lane of the basketball court, crash into the opposing team's center, but they will see that from the perspective of the official who worked that contest. So it's giving them practical experience in a safe place, whether they're watching this on their device, on their Chromebook, their phone, their iPad, whether you're showing this in the classroom on the Promethean board or the projector. They're going to see this situation happen without fans and craziness going on, but it's going to look, sound, and feel like they're in the game. And when that point guard crashes into the opposing team's center, the video they're watching is going to pause, and the learner will have to make a call without all the outside pressures. They'll make that call. Was it a block or was it a charge? The technology will let the learner know whether they were right or wrong. And then we have an expert official come on screen, and immediately in 2.5 minutes or less, they're going to teach those students about that exact situation. What happened, what MSHSL rule was applied and why, and how can they be most prepared to successfully make that call again in the future. So truly, for these students, that's almost like you've got a veteran official right over their shoulder. And when they make that call, that person's pouring into them, teaching them about that situation, how they can do it better in the future. So these interactive training videos will really allow our users to apply what they learn in that coursework and build confidence before they ever go referee that first live contest. And that is so huge, getting that confidence level up. This is going to incorporate cutting-edge technology and multimedia to facilitate that learning and reinforcement for all your students as well. Again, for the physical education teachers, that's a core Shape America standard that we align with nationally. So I know that your students will learn in this class. This is one thing to be very clear about. This is not a dumping ground class. This is not a set it and forget it on the videos at the back of the room. This is an academically rigorous class. It's been vetted by many state associations, many departments of education. It's academic rigor. It hits on lifetime physical fitness and wellness. It hits on employability skills. I mean, this is a real legitimate opportunity for these students to learn, but I can also guarantee you they'll have a lot of fun. And you can just go to good old Google and type in RefReps plus officiating class. You'll find a ton of articles about it. You will not have trouble vetting out what I just said there. So again, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. So, okay, this sounds great. You know, this is something we'd want to do, but as Jason said, you know, we got a week till school starts. How the heck am I going to get this going? Or I've got this on the books. We think this may be a nice supplement. Well, here's how you will do it. I'm going to be a little more focused on this screen over here. So if you have questions at any point through here, drop them in the chat. I'll get to them. Or again, just jump off. Hey, Kyle, hang on a second. I got questions. Totally fine. So you've got some really great advantages in the state of Minnesota. Many of you are probably familiar with that, but you've got an officiating course on your books. So you can code an officiating class under that 08021 for credit in the state of Minnesota, which is awesome. That is such a huge advantage that you can do that for your students. We also kind of in our research and in our discussions, there are some really great opportunities to implement this coursework as a curriculum enhancement through some of your other existing physical education courses that you've already got on the books. So you got a lot of options in your state, which is really, really exciting. And I'm going to kind of work my way through those one by one. As I mentioned earlier, standalone course, it's the best option, hands down. It's the best for your instructors. It's the best for your students. Ultimately, it's the best for your community. The way we set that up, and again, this document, this is designed specifically for Minnesota. Caleb's going to send this out to you afterwards. So if you don't, if you can't get all your notes in, that's fine. This is coming out. But this is a standalone is just going to allow you to do a super deep dive, a really robust look at this coursework and curriculum. You're going to want to think about 2 to 3 sports in the back of this document. We've actually put together an example course map for baseball and basketball. We've got this for all the sports. So when you would get in our learning management system in your instructor portal, you're going to have this same layout regardless of the sport that you're teaching. So again, when I say you could start this Monday, show of hands who wants to do baseball, most hands go up. Here you go. Here's what you're teaching. And then we've got a supplemental course outline that actually digs deeper into this, talks about what the modules are about, kind of has the structure of them, what are your learning targets, and what are some activities and things you can do in class that takes it a little bit deeper. So in the standalone course, we build in a lot of time to make this a hybrid. There's a lot of time to get in the batting cages, get in the gym and call balls and strikes, playing wiffle ball or whatever it may be. Go out, walk the field, talk about the lines, talk about the dimensions, do field time where 2/3 of your officiating class is playing wiffle ball and the other third is rotating around the positions on the baseball field and they're umpiring the action there. A lot of time to get out and do mechanics. What does a good safe and out call look like? Getting in guest speakers, local umpires, not to put Jason on the spot, but I have a feeling he's got a good handle on people that could come speak for your classes. If you needed help there, I'm sure you could reach out to him and he could help you with that, get you connected to local associations or local leaders who would love to pour into your students, whether it's in person or on Zoom or whatever it may be. We build in time for you to take your test through the state. We build in time intentionally for those students. If you can partner up as your school district with your local youth leagues, go out and get them some practical experience. If you went to your local youth baseball league and said, hey, I got 20 kids in a sports officiating class, they're becoming baseball umpires, would you be able to use them? They're going to think you're a hero for bringing them 20 new people. They're going to love you to death. They will take that. I guarantee it. So we build in time for that. And then again, similar structure in basketball, lots of court and scrimmage time, lots of times for those local officiating people, but also get your coaches in there, get your ADs in there, talk about coach official relations, talk about, what's an athletic director looking for? What's professionalism look like in officials? How do they get games and things like that? So a lot of that time is what's built into this hybrid model. We've seen some schools do some really neat things, set up the garbage cans in the gym or in the cafeteria, and students are practicing throwing a flag and trying to make it into the garbage can and things like that. How do you blow a whistle? Go outside for a day and everybody practices that. So a lot of practical experience with that standalone course. It's a great opportunity, again, in a safe setting to get them those reps and those opportunities to see the game as an official. Obviously, like we talked about, could be late in the game. We want to do this. We don't have that 08, 021 on the books. So, but we do want to do it. We start Monday. Well, if you've got that 08, 001 or 2, in a team sports class that's pre-existing, you're already teaching students how to pass, shoot, dribble, play defense. You're getting into the rules some in basketball. But what you're going to find is, again, we just drop in with this curriculum a really nice standardized structure. Instructors have absolutely loved laying this class in as an enhancement to a pre-existing physical education. So you're already doing some of it. This is just going to take a little bit deeper dive and a holistic approach into those sports, which you can then supplement with all the other things you're doing to teach them the sport, and not only the rules and how to officiate, but how to play. You can work through a single sport in 7 to 15 class periods. Again, it doesn't really matter if you're on a block or, standard 5-day, whatever it is. You can modify things there. If you're working this into a pre-existing recreational sports or coaching or something like that, you got a coaching class, but you'd love to get them the other side of the game, let them get their toes in the water on officiating. I think that's a huge opportunity. So many kids want to stay connected to these sports, but they think their only options are to make it to the NFL. And we all know the statistics of that. They think their only way is to coach. They don't realize they could be an official for the next 40, 50 years and stay involved in the game. Well, you could run a 2-week unit on officiating basketball with this same structure. but you just condense it down. Maybe you don't do as many of the on-court kind of things because you really are just focused on the rules and the modules and some of those things. So you can take that 6 weeks, crunch it down to 2, you kind of pick and pull the parts out. Well, we're not going to do that, score or record a game or have as many court scrimmage times. So just know you can really condense these down if you want to. Option 3 for implementation. This has been a big one. It kind of bigger than I anticipated. We know a lot of schools are building in that enrichment remediation time. 40 to 60% of your students need that additional support in math and English, which also leaves the back end, same 40 to 60% that don't need that additional support in math and English. And a lot of times we're left, what do we do with them? We set up club meetings then. We tell them to go to the library, get a book, put your AirPods in, keep the music down. Well, this is a really great opportunity. Again, in 7 to 15 class periods, we like the in-class synchronous approach, the really deep dive. But if you need to do it asynchronously, the kids sit in the computer lab or sit in the study hall type of setting, and while those other students are getting the support that they need on math and English, they're asynchronously working their way through these materials and starting to learn these sports. And again, they're hitting on the employability skills with that. They're hitting on the life skills and the physical fitness and wellness as well as they go through this. So another really nice option there. We've seen some schools run units. They'll have a life skills class, again, where a portion of that may be, they'll hit on a variety of things. Some kids in that life skills class may hit on some auto mechanics. Then they'll also hit on coaching. Now they'll hit on officiating. Then they may hit on woodworking or whatever it may be. And they'll run shorter, condensed units of that as well. So just a variety of ways that can be worked in from there. And then the last 2 options, this one kind of fell in our laps. We had a lot of schools reaching out to us. Hey, could we run our lacrosse team, basketball team through this? Because we think it would be very beneficial to help with sportsmanship. If our basketball players actually understood the rules, they might not get so mad when an official makes a call, because guess what? Most of the time the officials are right in the first place. Most of the time the fans, coaches, players don't know the rules as well as them. So that may lower the temperature there. Help with fair play, help with safer play. If they really understand the rules, that's going to benefit there. So we've had a lot of schools reach out, run their sports teams through this. And then kind of the same situation with coaches, parents. One addition to that, not just the sportsmanship side, we've got some states that have set up, like, for lack of a better term or specific terms of the states, they've set up almost like emergency officials. So you've got those adults that, their kids have aged out, they graduated, but they run your scoreboard, they run your book, they run the concession stand, they do all those kind of things. They want to stay involved in your programs. Well, what if they could run through this? And yeah, they may not be Jason's varsity football officials someday, but you got the option 20 minutes before a game, one of your middle school volleyball officials calls off, and your option is either to cancel the game, or you got this emergency official that's gone through a nice, robust course. They've got an ancillary understanding of it. You're either canceling the game or they live a mile from campus. They come right over and get you through that volleyball match. So that's been something that's been pretty neat to see come together there as well. So certainly options for community, coaches, parents, people around your buildings as well. That's implementation. The $1 million question: what does it cost? How do we set this thing up? How do we do all the financial side of things? If you've done ed tech, we're not dissimilar in a lot of ways to what you're familiar with, but we do have some very unique differences that we're pretty proud of. If your schools have ever done, lifeguarding, WSI classes, Red Cross certification for lifeguarding, price point, very similar, although I'd argue a lot, while you can do lifeguarding and, equip your pool and your resorts and things like that, I think there's a lot more opportunity for students to officiate games right now, especially in today's climate. So I think there's some back end opportunity there for them. But again, we do it seat license structure like any other ed tech company. The way it's set up, you would need 1 seat license per student per sport. 1 seat license per student per sport. So for our example here, you've got 20 students in a standalone semester-long course doing 3 sports. You're going to need 60 seat licenses. But one thing that's very different for us, those seat licenses are not tied to any specific sport or any specific student initially. So 60 seat licenses, you're just going to get that lump of 60 and you can distribute those however you want. So ultimately, if you plan on 20 students, 3 sports, great. If you end up with 30 students, 2 sports, fine. That works out the same way. It all just gets distributed how you want. One thing we're really, really proud of, unused seat licenses do not expire. And they are not consumed until a learner completes the first module of a sport course. So if you've done ed tech, you know there are arbitrary deadlines. You've got an AutoCAD program. It's December 18th, and you got 3 seat licenses on it. You're running around the building like crazy. Somebody please take this, because if we don't use these by the 31st, they drop off our account. We waste $300-400 on that. Well, we don't do that. So you needed 60 seats. You get 1 week into class, 1 kid moves out of town. The other kid failed algebra, has to drop your class, go back and retake that. Now you only needed 54 seats. Well, those are going to roll over to your next semester, roll over to your next year. A new kid comes into class, you just give them the seat licenses instead. Very flexible on that side. And then another thing we're really proud of is truly you're making an investment in your students from that employability side. We talked very early on, some of the people on the officiating side of our company, and they just said, Kyle, do you really believe that these materials and everything you're providing is beneficial to these learners? Well, of course I do. We wouldn't have built it if we didn't think so. So they said, okay, well, if you believe in that, why would you give this to them, set them up for success, and then take it away or charge them more for it? So we don't do that. Once you invest in a seat license for a student and they complete one of those courses with us, that is theirs forever. We never take it away. We never charge them again for it. They're going to maintain access to that completed sport course for as long as they keep their RefReps account active. So what we're hoping is they finish a course with you up in Minnesota. They move down here to Indiana to college. They're referee in a college basketball game or an intramural basketball game at IU. They have a block charge call. They're not so sure they got it right or wrong. They jump right back in their RefReps account 2 years later, and they go back through that material because it benefited them before. We believe that it will later. So again, they'll maintain access to that forever. So what does it cost? Follow me here for a second. If you went to our website and just bought this straight off the website, you would get a course. And then if there's an applicable point of view video pack, you would buy both of those for your students. And individually, that would be $75 per student per sport that you would pay, $75 per student per sport. Again, we believe very, very strongly in these point of view video packs. Caleb actually was on a call with a school last week. He was getting them set up, and the instructor actually had students in class. And so he was doing his demo, and he showed one of these POV packs in the background, and the students saw it. And I won't say what the student said, but he saw it up on the screen and he said, wow, that's really neat. It was not in those words, and this teacher had to tell him to watch their mouth after they said it. But the student thought it was really neat. And so they were very excited about that. So we believe in those a lot. So as a part of our partnership with the state office with Minnesota, what we do for educators is we bundle these two together. We throw in the video packs for free. So you're not paying for the video pack separately. That's included. And then again, kudos to the Minnesota State Office. As a part of that partnership, we then discount another 10% off of those seat licenses. So what you're going to pay instead of $75 per student per sport, you're going to pay $45 per student per sport, thanks to the Minnesota State Office. $45 per student per sport. Again, this is going to come out to you afterwards. There are a lot of options in here for funding. I'm not going to get too deep into that here because every school is different, how you may want to do it. Run it through curriculum. It's a consumable since these students are going to take it with them. So there may be some technology funds you could put towards it. But again, we're very intentional about how we set things up. The number one most popular funding option is right there. Your final, that micro internship, that end of course capstone. Partner up with your local youth league, pair up these students with a veteran official, have them work 2 youth league contests. And instead of paying that student, I mean, that youth league's going to pay those officials anyway. Instead of paying that student for their first 2 contests, they donate that money or contribute that money back to the school. If for that baseball game, they're paying $35 as an officiating fee, the course is going to cost $45. 2 games, $70, covers the cost of the seat license. Put that into funding this course forward. Maybe you're not worried. Maybe you do run it through curriculum or you run it as a consumable. You're not worried about the funding. You still could do that same model, but then take that $70 that you get back from the youth league and put it into set up a grant. Buy the kids their first shirt, their first jersey, their first whistle, flag, umpire gear, plate gear, whatever. Lots and lots of ways you could do that. So that's been a pretty exciting opportunity for our schools there as well. For me, that really covers platform. It covers implementation. I got some statistics I can share with you, just kind of tie things up. But if anybody has questions, what I'll do, I will cut the recording here. I know some people don't want questions out as they're recording.